Are you being the fool, or are you playing the fool? There's a difference. Let's get into the reading. Anger and chains. Anger and chains. Dealing with some anger. I don't know, anger issues. Anger. Government was trying to come out. I wasn't even ready to. Anger and chains. Anger and anger in chains. So along with that, we're going to have a chance to dream. This is always about someone trying to, maybe you felt like someone is trying to steal your glory, steal your crown, steal your position, steal your something. Or there is someone doing this and it has angered you. I feel you, I've been there. Let's see what else we have. Sacrifice, number 7. She comes up quite often. This reminds me of the Joan Van Ark. But she has got one eye enlightened. If you blind, how's that go? There's a Bible verse that says something about if you blind thine eye. Hang on. Interesting. So what I was looking for is Matthew 6:22 through 24. It says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? That's from a different, let's try this version. It's the American Standard. There's one that says, it words it a different way. It doesn't say if your eyes are healthy, but it says if your eyes are full of light. It's talking about your third eye. Anyway, it goes on to say, if then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. That's the same thing. You cannot serve both God and money. So you guys already, if you've been around for a while, you already know that I'm a former Christian. I don't put a lot of weight in a lot of the things, but I still find a lot of wisdom in the Bible and the Psalms and things like that, and all of the ancient texts, not just the Judaic and Christian text. I read the Quran, but I'm sure there's a lot of wisdom to be found in that. A lot of things I wouldn't agree with as well. A lot of the Hindu text. I never can pronounce the one right, but is it Bhagavad Gita? I can't pronounce it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of wisdom to be found in that. The Buddhist proverbs. Anyway, so this is if your eye be light, how great is the light, right? So this is being enlightened. Some would also take that as being some kind of Illuminati, secret society type of oath type of stuff, where all the celebrities always have the one eye covered. That represents the darkness of one eye. Which path have they chosen, the right or the left? That's my understanding. I don't get into that very much. But moving on, we have forgetting oneself. All right, so these are the shadow aspects that we're dealing with here. That's where dealing with a full moon. At this point in time, this reading is timeless, so whenever you see it, you're meant to see it. It's not necessarily a full moon reading, but it is a shadow reading. There we go with justice over forgetting oneself in the position of the subconscious. And look at him. Look at the justice guy here with all of that enlightenment behind him. Kind of looks like a kind of a Pope type figure, but also alien-ish. Forgetting oneself, number 17. Justice. And are you going to serve money, mana, the flesh, the hasatan, or whatever? Are you going to serve the flesh, the world, or are you going to serve, I'll say for the sake of saving argument, God, as many would call the all or source, spirit? I refer to them as source or spirit. But when I say that, I'm referring to the all. So, do you serve what makes you money? Do you bend and break your morals and ethics and just ignore it? You blind your one eye so that you can not have to worry about what you're doing, how you're compromising what you actually believe in, so that you can support something that you also maybe believe in, but you're just going to ignore the parts of it that actually you're uncomfortable with, actually you don't agree with, but for the sake of holding on to a certain belief or supporting it. It could be your political ideologies, it could be your religious ideals. On a personal note, again, as a Christian, there's a lot of things I cannot agree with in the Bible. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it's supposed to have been God, air quotes, saying it, but when the creator of all things is in a story saying that a certain land should be invaded and all of the women and children, not just the soldiers, not just the corrupt people, but all of the women and children and animals also need to be annihilated. Sorry, I can't agree with that. And you don't understand. There's certain things that we're not meant to understand until we're no longer here and you're not God. Hey, if you want to go by the words of Yeshua, the one they call Jesus, he said, we are all little gods. So I am the God of my own mind and the way I think. I'm not going to have some book tell me how to fucking think. I'm telling you that. Anyway, judgment right there, as I'm casting judgment. But it's justice for forgetting yourself. Judgment in anger and chains. So there's something, maybe it's like me right now ranting about my former ties to what I devoted more than 3/4 of my life to in a belief that I later found out I don't actually agree with. Lots of things I was uncomfortable with, but when you question them, you're told those things, like I said, you're gaslit into, well, we'll understand when we're no longer here. No, I want to understand right now. If you're telling me this is what I'm supposed to believe, but in this here, this is calling a judgment upon the self, the masculine, the feminine, and the inner child. Who you were as a child before you were corrupted with ideologies, and before you were corrupted with you have to think this way or this way in order to be accepted into a certain group or whatever. When none of that mattered, and it was just you, your imagination, and love, and you really had hope for all things. That's the inner child here. The masculine and feminine are what we are divided in as we get older and we grow. We grow into taking action on certain things, and we grow into just receiving and accepting some things, which is the feminine aspect, the masculine being the taking action. We learn to be gentle and nurturing, but we also learn to be assertive and Sometimes this anger comes out. This is the unification of all three. This would be the body, mind, and spirit. This would be the masculine, feminine, and inner child, or the source of self prior to being corrupted. There's a judgment being called upon the self. How did you look at the world then? Would you have compromised certain things just for the sake of making money, or having attention, or growing in popularity? Did we learn that as adolescents? In order to fit in, did we compromise certain things? For instance, when I was younger, there was peer pressure on smoking. I know it's not that big a deal with this age, this generation's youth or whatever, but it was smoking, and you were peer pressured into smoking and drinking and having sex at a young age. This is why my generation had probably the largest amount of teenage pregnancies. I am one of them. I mean, I wasn't the pregnant one. I was I was a teenage father, though. And it's that stuff was thrown in our face all the time. It is thrown in the faces of the youth in this age, but many of them are abstaining, which is good, but it's also not good, because I just saw a report that in the United States, and I believe in the UK as well, that the what's it called? The birth rate has decreased significantly. Let's keep going here. Yeah, the magician for sacrifice. The magician has sacrificed. There's 777 on this card. That may mean something to you guys, but he has sacrificed. He sacrificed his time, his energy, and the magician doesn't have to actually be magic. It can be any kind of occult or hidden or sacred teachings, something you've devoted the entirety of your life towards. You've sacrificed your time, you've sacrificed relationships, whatever, like a monk sacrificing, taking complete vows of abstinence or celibacy, lifetime vows, nuns in the same way, and they devote all of their time to studying and reading and being in like a monastery or whatever. Now, what goes on behind those walls, we don't actually know. But someone who has devoted their life to... The magician is a teacher. The magician teaches how to use the elements, how to bend the elements, how to manifest. And then the judgment and also justice. We have 3 major arcana out here. So is this about... Oh, look, there's 4 sevens. 777 on the magician's card, clarifying number 7, the sacrifice. So 7777, that may mean something to you guys. I'm not looking up the so-called angel numbers because you'll get conflicting ones sometimes, so I'll leave that up to you to look it up, and you find the one that most resonates with you, the meaning of it most rings true for you. Take it as a sign if you'd like to, but let's get some clarification on each of those. What's the judgment have to do with this? Perchance to dream, number 28, which would be 10, and 11 would be 29, would be 11, so anger and chains. This has had to do with love, career. It's just got to do with the self. There's a judgment you're calling on yourself or something you believed in the past. And we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, the Knight of Cups, and the Seven of Swords. this is, the 7 of Swords, yet another 7 in the reverse. Deceit. For the sake of money, for the sake of some kind of gain, material gain, you are actually calling judgment upon yourself or judging yourself rather for having, again, compromised your own ethics and morals, speaking as if you had some kind of love. And look, he's not even giving his horse a chance to drink here. He's drinking out of this cup, but he's in this stream. He's not even allowing his horse No, it looks like he's making his horse hold him up. And there was a deceit, but you're coming out of that. The self-deception, believing that you were drinking from a cup of love, believing that you were being so loving and kind when actually it was the actions were actually very self-absorbed, very self-focused. I mentioned it a lot. I'm not going to go on too much of a rant about it, but a lot of people in the spiritual and tarot community, even going back again when I was, a Christian televangelist, even now, right now, the current president, his so-called spiritual advisor, these are all charlatans. Not all of them, but many of them are charlatans, and they'll be exposed at some point in time. And maybe you have found yourself kind of either following along and drinking from that cup in selfishness. Like every message that you don't want to listen to, this message I'm giving you right now. This makes you uncomfortable, me talking to you about things that you're dealing with about yourself. No one wants to hear about that. You want to hear how great you are. You want a reader that's going to gaslight you. You want a reader that's going to lie to you. I'm the motherfucking truth. So I'm only going to tell the truth, regardless if it's a message that the masses want to hear or not. People who say that they're Christians, most of them would have never even listened to Yeshua, again, the one they call Jesus, had they been following him around in that story, whether he was real or not, whether all of the attributes and stories were real or not, I don't know. But the teachings that he told were very hard to listen to. And people loved the miracles. People loved when he broke bread and fed the masses and took 2 fish and fed everybody. And when he calmed all the storms and all of that good stuff, what they didn't like to hear was, hey, give up all your possessions and come follow me. It's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. If your mind is on money and you're only focused on benefiting yourself and you never make a sacrifice, what is a sacrifice? And who is your neighbor? All right? I'm not here to preach the Christian message to you again. I'm not a Christian. But there's much wisdom found, and I like the character and the characteristics of the person of Yeshua, Jesus. I like that he was no nonsense. I like that he was hard. I like that his teachings were hard. I like that he stood up against corrupt authority. I like that he told people that you should be more focused on taking care of the people around you who are less fortunate than you should be worried about yourself. When you have much, what does that have to do? If you can't give to those who are in need, what does all of that serve for you? Anyway, going forward with the justice, the world in the reverse. This is in the subconscious with forgetting oneself. This is where you're finding justice. the world in the reverse. The world isn't all about me. The world does not revolve around me. The world is both dark and light. The world is both good and evil, per se. The world is both destruction and creation. There has to be the balance. This justice, even though you're accepting it, I believe it's causing an imbalance in how you're moving forward, I guess. But in love, you find balance with Eight of Cups. Now, she's looking at all of the past, left and right. I've been Republican, I've been Democrat, I've been liberal, I've been conservative, I've been Christian, I've been occultist, I've been, or atheist, I've been shadow, I've been light, I've been masculine energy, I've been feminine energy, I've been celibate, I've been whorish, I've been all of these things, but I never found any true nourishment in all of those cups that I drank from. So she's balancing out. They're all chained to her. Again, the anger in chains. This is more like a disappointment in chains. So we're moving out of anger to feeling maybe a little bit of guilt and a little bit of shame for having found ourselves being involved in all that. But hey, if you're alive and kicking, there's always time for change. There's always time left for change. And don't hold somebody's past actions over their head all the time, or who they were. Look at them for who they're trying to be. Were they once a liar and a thief, but now they're trying to be honest and they're trying to be serving their fellow man? Are they, look at where people are at now. Even if it's yourself, don't judge yourself too harshly if you know you're trying to be better and do better. Page of Swords, you're learning. Not speaking so much as we're here to learn. He's covering his mouth. His sword is in its sheath. He's standing there looking towards us. That's you. That's that inner child looking to you to learn. This is no time for, with the state of the world at this present time, this is no time for speaking so much hatred, speaking so much falseness and lies. And he's holding on to a flower. It is time for peace. Don't listen to those that tell you, you must choose one side or the other. It's too late. You can't find any balance. You can't find any unity. Bullshit. Yes, we can. We're all still here. Look, she's holding the balance. I just noticed this. She's holding the balance, the chain, scales of the cups. Justice is also the scales. They were empty. Light on one side, but it's light as a feather apparently, because it's not tipping the scale, but there is a light. I think this is that egg that shows up throughout this deck. That's interesting though, and that is a masculine and feminine. The masculine side of us is the side that wants to unload that, taking action to unload it, where the feminine side wants to accept it and carry the burden and receive it. Like, oh, I have to carry this guilt, I have to carry this shame, while the inner child is saying, I think it's best not to speak. I think it's best right now to listen. I think it's to yourself, to spirit within, to what you know is true, what you know is right, to what you know is just. The Magician and Sacrifice. What do we have? We have two. I guess I'm taking them both. Queen of Wands in the reverse, and the Seven of Wands. Yet another seven across here. I'm not going to count the seven that came out over that. The Seven of Swords. I'm not going to count it. I mean, I'm counting it in the reading. I'm not counting it over here. This group of sevens. 5 sevens along with the Queen of Wands in reverse. That's not feeling like we need to, well, we're not going to be impulsive in defending ourselves. We're not taking impulsive actions, but we're also not going to be so quick to have to feel like we have to defend ourselves. We're just manifesting. And by manifesting, I don't mean concentrating on a new car and a new house and money in your bank account and all that. Yes, all those things are great. We're manifesting right now our concentration for this reading, for the people who are watching me, my channel right now. This is about the truth. And this is about us looking within and really coming to grips with the things of our shadow nature that need to be kind of embraced and dealt with rather than suppressed. The more you suppress it, it's like the more you starve the one wolf within you, the more it's going to devour you once it has to show itself. Your anger that's in chains. You've got your anger all chained up. Why don't you figure out what it is that you actually are angry about, and then sift through the things that you carry anger over, all of these cups that you carry on the scale in the subconscious. What are the things that you carry that you're angry about that are actually righteous indignation, righteous anger, rightfully to be angry? Are you just angry because somebody did you wrong, somebody did you dirty, somebody cheated on you, somebody rejected you, whatever? That's just, everybody goes through that. All of that goes on in life. Are you just as angry, other than what happened to you? Are you just as angry about the injustices that happen to your neighbor in the world? Do you get just as angry seeing how the pharmaceutical companies have got people strung out on drugs, and then they get out and they have to take the cheaper, dirtier options and they end up on the street? Are you one that points and mocks and makes fun of and looks down upon them? Or do you see that it was maybe an injury that caused them to be on pain medications, and then their insurance screwed them over, and then they couldn't afford the pain medication, so they had to go for something to deal with the pain? Maybe they were dealing with depression. Who knows what the story is behind it? I'm not saying every one of them is innocent, but who put the stuff on the street for them? Look into it. Are we angry with the kids who are gangbangers and all of that kind of stuff? Or are we angry with the system that sometimes gives them no other option? I'm not saying that as a cop-out for those kids. Everybody has a choice to make. But the music industry glorifies it. The drugs, the money, the sexual promiscuity, the flashiness of jewelry and fast cars and fast women and fast life and all of that stuff. They're tempted by it with that. They go home and they see maybe their addict parent or single home parent that's struggling, and they know they want something more for their life than that, and in certain neighborhoods, if they're in certain areas or whatever, there's not a lot of hope for them. Maybe they're not getting the education they need. You know what I mean? Like, let's look at why people make the decisions to end up in the situations they're in. We've all made fucking mistakes. And to think that your mistake is any less than someone else's mistake is bullshit. You still are capable of making a mistake. You're still capable of making a bad decision. You just got lucky that your decision and your situation and circumstances weren't as bad as someone else's. The Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles. This is how we use that magician energy. Sacrifice the thought of ourselves being better than others, and instead try in some way to be of service to others. This is what true abundance is. This is what true wealth is. All your cash can get burned up. It can get taken from you in an instant. What can't be taken from you is the fact that you stand on your morals and ethics, kindness, and love for others. It doesn't mean romantic love. It doesn't even mean that you have to have feelings of love. Your actions. Love is a verb. Love is an action. The Ace of Cups, the One of Cups here. Now you're understanding what it is. Now we're understanding. Now we're understanding what true abundance and wealth is. It's not about how much money you got in the bank or what kind of car you drive. Look at those people. Some of them, many of them, are corrupt, extremely corrupt. Are you one of them? Or would you sacrifice for another? 5 sevens. And then we have our 5 of Cups. So worried that you're still not going to get what you need. I don't know where we're going to go here, guys. I'm going to get another. But you see the 3 cups of muck on the wall. He's down there taking his 2 cups and hiding in darkness. He's got a halo around his head. So he feels like he's righteous, but he's down here because he's afraid that he's not going to get. He's afraid he's not going to receive. But if I don't go down here, if I don't sink to this level, if I don't do what everyone else is doing, if I'm not making the same decisions they're being corrupt, but if I do it in secret, look, I've just got 2 cups. They've got 3 above my head. I'm just filling 2 cups. And I'm not even going to fill them all the way up. I'm just going to fill it up a little bit and just sip from it so I've got something to drink. I'm just going to do a little bit of corruption. I'm just going to do a little bit of lying. I'm just going to be a little bit misleading. Is that where you want to be? Is that who you want to be? Is that who you are? Is that who your inner child thought you were going to be? When you were young and free and nothing mattered but you and your imagination and sunshine and whatever. You could walk up and connect with a stranger and it didn't matter their skin color. It didn't matter their religion. It didn't matter what their bank account was. None of that matters to little children. That's the mind of a little child. Find out what that is in just a second. I want to clarify with one card. I want to clarify with this 5 cups. I think I already said what it is, but it's the 2 of cups. Because I don't feel like anybody's going to reciprocate. If I give love, I don't feel like anybody's going to give it back. We live in a world where nobody wants to give. So if I'm the only one giving, and I don't have anyone giving to me, so I've got to be a little bit deceitful. I've got to be a little bit manipulative. I've got to game the system just a little bit. I've got to game the people just a little bit. Because I really don't think that somebody's going to pour back into me if I give. You don't understand, Bad Dad. I do love people and I do care about the state of the world, but I'm just one person. And if I go and take care of my neighbor, then man, they're going to keep coming. They're going to come back and knock on my door and they're going to want something else from me. And then they may want something else from me. And they're going to want something else from me. If I'm honest, then I won't get as far ahead in my business. If I'm a tarot reader and I try to read instead of giving the people what I know gets the clicks and gets the views, then I'm not going to get clicks and views. Look at your channel, Bad Dad. You started all over again. Look, you're just getting 20, 30, 40 views. But if I sit here and give people readings about twin flames and tell them about how rich they're going to be and all of that, man, I could get thousands of views, potentially. You want me to sit here and talk about shadow read? I'm not telling you to read like me. I'm not telling you to be like me. I'm asking you, are you happy with who you are? Genuinely. Ladies, when you look in the mirror and you wipe off all the makeup, if you could look past all the Botox and shit in your face, are you accepting who you are, or do you constantly have to change what that person looks like so that others will accept? I don't do it for other people. Well, who are you doing it for? You don't get to look at your face 24/7. Your eyes are on the inside of your head. So you're doing it for other people. That's some bullshit. I do it because my self-esteem is based on what? How other people view you? Whether other people think you're attractive or pretty? Whether you're keeping up with everyone else in your little area or your genre or your whatever you're in? I do it because it makes me feel good. Why? Why does it make you feel good? I'm not saying not to wear makeup. I'm not getting on that. I'm asking you to look at why that may be important to you. Why do people do plastic surgery? Why do people put on facades all the time? Why do they use filters so much on their Instagram photos? And they take pictures in front of cars and houses that are not theirs. I'm on vacation. We rented this Lamborghini and we're staying at this hotel. And then they go down the street and they're staying on a little Holiday Inn or something. You know what I mean? It's all fake. Stop with the fakeness. Authenticity is where it's got to be at. AI has got us covered as far as fakeness goes, and it's beating us as far as that goes. What it can't do is beat us at being authentically you. The sun. I don't need to say more. This leads us to true enlightenment. This leads us to happiness. If you're happy with yourself, regardless of the external. I've said it before. We look down upon some people that are sleeping on the street in a cardboard box or something like that. Once heard a story, I think it's on YouTube somewhere. I once heard a man talking about how free he felt. His wife had died. He was a multimillionaire. He fell into drugs and alcoholism. And I don't remember if like gambling or something else was involved. I think some family members of his ended up taking money from him, taking advantage of him as he was in his, in the deepest parts of his addiction or whatever. But he lived on the street now, and he did not want that old world back again. He was happier having nothing. And the world will tell us all to look at him and say, look, you don't want to end up like that. You don't want to end up like that guy. What about these people that go homestead? And they live off the land. They don't need all of the fancy things that people have these days. Some of them still have those gadgets and things like that, but you understand what I'm saying. Where's your happiness truly found? If everything you own was taken from you, if all of your, it's all your worldly possessions, right? If all of your titles and your degrees and certificates meant nothing anymore, if you no longer had your family and it was just you, could you be happy with who you are? Could you?